The problem of evil has been a central concern in philosophy and theology for centuries. It grapples with the existence of suffering, pain, and injustice in a world purportedly governed by a benevolent, omnipotent, and omniscient deity. This dilemma is often encapsulated in the term theodicy, which seeks to justify the ways of God to humans. Theodicy attempts to reconcile the presence of evil with the idea of divine justice, raising profound questions about the nature of God and the purpose of human existence. The classic formulation of the problem of evil is attributed to the ancient Greek philosopher Epicurus, who posed a logical challenge: if God is willing to prevent evil but not able, then he is not omnipotent. If he is able but not willing, then he is malevolent. If he is both able and willing, then whence cometh evil? If he is neither able nor willing, then why call him God? This trilemma highlights the apparent contradiction between the existence of a good and powerful deity and the reality of evil in the world. Throughout history, various thinkers have attempted to address this problem. One approach is the free will defense, famously articulated by Augustine of Hippo. Augustine argued that evil is not a substance or a created thing, but a corruption of good, a privation of good. He posited that God created humans with free will, and it is through the misuse of this free will that evil entered the world. According to Augustine, moral evil arises from human choices that deviate from God's will. This defense maintains that the value of free will justifies the potential for evil, as it allows for genuine moral agency and the possibility of true love and goodness. Another influential perspective comes from the philosopher and theologian Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, who coined the term theodicy. Leibniz proposed that this world, despite its flaws, is the best of all possible worlds that God could have created. He argued that an omniscient God would have foreseen all possible worlds and chosen to create the one that maximizes goodness and minimizes evil. In this view, the presence of evil and suffering is necessary for the greater good, as it allows for virtues like courage, compassion, and perseverance to manifest. Without the challenges posed by evil, these virtues would have no context in which to develop. The notion that suffering and evil serve a greater purpose is also central to the soul-making theodicy, articulated by John Hick. Hick suggested that the world is a vale of soul-making, where individuals are given the opportunity to grow and develop morally and spiritually through their experiences of hardship and suffering. In this framework, evil and suffering are seen as essential for the development of virtues and the formation of a mature character. The soul-making theodicy emphasizes the transformative potential of suffering, suggesting that it can lead to a deeper understanding of oneself and a closer relationship with the divine. Despite these attempts at theodicy, the problem of evil remains a profound challenge. Critics argue that the existence of gratuitous or excessive suffering, particularly the suffering of innocent beings, is difficult to reconcile with the notion of a just and loving God. The evidential problem of evil focuses on the sheer amount and intensity of suffering in the world, questioning whether it is compatible with the existence of an all-good, all-powerful deity. Instances of natural disasters, disease, and other forms of suffering that appear unrelated to human free will further complicate the issue. One response to the evidential problem of evil is the appeal to mystery, often associated with the theological concept of divine inscrutability. This approach suggests that human beings, with their limited perspective and understanding, are not in a position to fully comprehend the reasons behind God's actions or the presence of evil. It posits that there may be reasons beyond human understanding that justify the existence of evil, and that faith requires trust in God's ultimate wisdom and goodness. This stance is encapsulated in the biblical book of Job, where Job's suffering leads him to question God's justice, only to be reminded of the vastness of divine wisdom and the limitations of human comprehension. Another perspective is process theology, which reimagines the nature of divine power and knowledge. Process theologians, like Alfred North Whitehead and Charles Hartshorne, propose that God is not omnipotent in the classical sense but is instead in a dynamic relationship with the world. In this view, God experiences the unfolding of events in real time and works to bring about good within the constraints of the world's processes. This understanding of God as a co-sufferer who is intimately involved in the world's struggles offers a different approach to the problem of evil, suggesting that divine power is persuasive rather than coercive, and that God works with creation to overcome evil. The existential dimension of the problem of evil also deserves consideration. For many individuals, the presence of suffering and injustice is not merely an intellectual puzzle but a deeply personal and emotional reality. Theodicy must therefore engage not only with abstract philosophical arguments but also with the lived experiences of those who suffer. Pastoral responses to the problem of evil emphasize empathy, compassion, and the importance of community support. They recognize that in the face of profound suffering, the most meaningful response may be one of solidarity and presence rather than theoretical explanation. In the context of diverse religious traditions, different theodicies emerge, reflecting the unique theological and cultural frameworks of each tradition. In Hinduism, for example, the concept of karma offers a way to understand suffering as a result of actions in past lives, suggesting a moral order that extends beyond a single lifetime. Buddhism, with its emphasis on the impermanence of all things and the inevitability of suffering, encourages practices that lead to the cessation of suffering through the attainment of enlightenment. In Islam, the notion of divine testing and the belief in a just afterlife provide a context for understanding and enduring suffering. The problem of evil also intersects with broader philosophical questions about the nature of justice, morality, and the human condition. It raises questions about the extent to which human beings can be held accountable for their actions in a world that includes seemingly arbitrary suffering and injustice. It challenges us to think about the role of compassion and empathy in addressing the suffering of others and to consider the ethical implications of our responses to evil. In contemporary discussions, the problem of evil has been explored through various lenses, including literature, art, and psychology. Works of literature, from Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov to Camus' The Plague, grapple with the existential and moral dimensions of suffering, offering profound insights into the human experience of evil. Art, too, has been a medium for expressing and confronting the reality of suffering, with works ranging from the anguish of Picasso's Guernica to the reflective serenity of Rothko's color fields. Psychological perspectives on the problem of evil explore the ways in which individuals and communities cope with and find meaning in suffering. Research on resilience, post-traumatic growth, and the role of narrative in shaping our understanding of pain and loss offers valuable insights into the human capacity to endure and transcend suffering. These perspectives highlight the importance of meaning-making in the face of evil and the ways in which individuals can find purpose and hope even in the midst of profound adversity. Ultimately, the problem of evil remains an open and evolving question, one that continues to challenge and inspire thinkers across disciplines. It invites us to reflect on the nature of our own existence, the limits of our understanding, and the depths of our compassion. Whether approached through the lens of theology, philosophy, literature, or psychology, the problem of evil demands a response that acknowledges the complexity and mystery of suffering while striving for a deeper understanding of justice, goodness, and the divine. It is a problem that speaks to the core of what it means to be human, calling us to grapple with the darkest aspects of our world and to seek, even in the face of profound evil, the light of hope and the possibility of redemption.